guys, and welcome to another Treasures from Our Attic. This week I'm going to show you some of the oldest artifacts that we have in our collection, and they are from the first settlers of Stanley County, the Native Americans. Now when I say Native Americans, that is just a general term that covers tens of thousands of people over the course of tens of thousands of years. So obviously there is a lot of change happening within that time span. And just for comparison's sake, if you take us in 2020 and compare us to the founding fathers, that's only a 244-year difference, and you can see how much has changed in that span. So obviously the Native Americans who came in contact with the first European settlers when they came to Stanley County were much different than the Native Americans who first came to Stanley County and settled here thousands of years ago. The Native American culture has actually been broken down into three time periods, and there's the Paleo, Archaic, and the Woodland. And the Paleo is the oldest, and Stanley County actually has one of the oldest Paleo sites in our county, and it's actually been considered one of the most important sites of all of North America, and that is the Hardaway site in Baden. Now the reason why this was so important to archaeology and Native Americans is that archaeology is really the only way that we can learn about Native Americans. They didn't leave a written record behind, and so the best way that we could learn about these people is by looking at the culture and the materials that they left behind. And unfortunately, all of the Native American sites that have been excavated before the Hardaway site, their soil deposits had been jumbled, and therefore it was impossible to really learn too much about these Native Americans. Usually when archaeologists are digging and they're excavating, they go soil level by soil level by soil level, and they pay attention to the artifacts. They're all on the same level, because then you know they've been used together. They look at the soil all the way at the bottom. Those are the oldest, the soil at the top, most recent, and then you can also get a chronology of how when these tools were all used. And unfortunately, like I said, they had not been able to learn that yet until the Hardaway site. And this was a huge boon, not only to archaeology, but just learning about Native Americans in general on the East Coast. And they were able to take these projectile points, and as you can see, the shapes did change over time. And because of the changing, they were then able to figure out dates when all points up and down the East Coast have been made. And the importance of this site was just so important that actually a lot of the sites have been named after names from this county. So we have the Palmer Points, Yadkin, Stanley Point, Mara Mountain. So when I talked about that really big time span of Native Americans changing tens of thousands of years, this really let us start learning more specifically about the Native Americans from all these time eras. We have over here another native tool, and this is actually very cool, very important. And the reason why is that you can tell that I can actually match my fingerprints on the rock where the person held this tens of thousands of years ago. And the reason why that is the person that used this, they did a process called grinding, and they were able to grind out these spots on the rock to get a better grip on it, because these are pretty heavy, and you didn't really want them to go flying. This could have been used for a variety of ways. One is a hammerstone, where they would take the hammerstone and they would have another rock and they would hammer away at the rock, knocking off flakes, and eventually that is how these projectile points actually got made. This also would have been used for grinding. It's like corn or medicine, and we can tell that because when I put it down, it doesn't roll, it stays straight, and that's because when we flip it over, there's this little bit of a flat surface versus the roundness, and this is called a wear pattern, and it's just basically because it's been worn away, being used like that for the grinding. So this is just really, literally, hands-on connection to our past and some of the first people who ever lived in Stanley County, and we're very lucky to have this in our collection. But that is it for this week, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.